Some secrets are hungry things. They fester under the surface, just waiting for the chance to explode and take everything down with them. Looking back, I wondered if I ever truly knew Richard, or if I'd just bought into the image he sold, too scared to peek behind the curtain. Then Jake Lawson walked into my life, our neighborhood's young detective, a jolt of pure adrenaline, a stolen piece of life I wanted back. But my little thrill wasn't so little. It set off a chain reaction I couldn't control. Richard wasn't just the husband I thought I knew, and now my secrets, the ones I thought were locked away, were his weapon. I'd lived in a quiet vacuum for so long, I'd almost forgotten what real laughter sounded like. Richard and I, 40 years married, a lifetime of comfort, sure, but the spark? Gone, replaced by a dull routine. At 64, I'd learned to find peace in the familiar, the small rituals that stitched our days together. But that ache for something more, it never really left. Then there was Jake. It was a spring day in Manhattan, the sun trying to break through the city haze, warming up the sidewalks after a brutal winter. I was lugging groceries back from Fairway, arms overloaded, when I locked myself out of my car. Keys mocking me from the passenger seat. I must have looked ridiculous, wrestling with bags, muttering under my breath, when I heard a voice. "Need a hand, ma'am?" I turned, and there he was. Detective Jake Lawson. Blue eyes that could cut glass, a smile that could melt asphalt. Tall, easy grin, a hint of mischief in those eyes. The kind of guy that stopped traffic. But it wasn't just the looks. It was the genuine kindness in his face, like he was actually amused by my mess. "Yes, actually," I laughed, a real laugh, surprised by it. "Can't believe I did that." He chuckled, glancing at my car. "Happy to help, if you'd let me." He had that door open in seconds, keys in my hand with a warm smile. "There you go, Mrs. Monroe, saved from a midtown parking nightmare." "Thank you, detective," I said, feeling a blush creep up my neck. "Really appreciate it." "Please," he grinned wider. "Call me Jake." Simple, quick, over. But driving away, I couldn't shake this buzz, this feeling I hadn't felt in years. Harmless, I told myself. No harm in admiring a nice young man from afar. But deep down, something had shifted. Days turned into weeks, and every time I saw Jake around our Upper East Side neighborhood, that thrill would come back, a little spark in my predictable days. It didn't take long for those chance encounters to feel less like chance, more like an escape. It was a Tuesday, unremarkable, the kind of day that gives no warning, lulls you into thinking everything's normal right before the world tilts. I was grabbing supplies for a charity luncheon Richard had roped me into organizing when I saw Jake across Madison Avenue, talking to a vendor, uniform sharp, posture relaxed. He looked up, saw me, and his face lit up with a smile that did something funny to my pulse. "Mrs. Monroe," he greeted me, voice warm. "Good to see you again." "It's Eleanor," I replied, smiling back. "Just Eleanor." He nodded, smile going a little mischievous. "All right, Eleanor. Would you mind if I stole you away for a coffee?" Simple invite. Easy to say no, but the pull of something new, something risky, was too strong. "I'd like that," I heard myself say, voice sounding strange, like a version of me I'd buried a long time ago. We ended up at a tiny cafe on a side street, tucked away, anonymous. Corner table, sun filtering through the window, soft glow. We talked. Innocent at first. Neighborhood stories, laughing about city life, that easy banter of two people just getting to know each other. But the conversation deepened, and I found myself opening up to him in ways I hadn't with anyone in years. He listened, really listened, like every word mattered. And he shared back, pieces of his life, dreams, regrets, echoes of my own. Our hands brushed on the table. I didn't pull away. He looked at me, gaze lingering, line crossed. Part of me screamed, wrong, risk, everything. But in that moment, I didn't care. All I felt was wanted, alive. He leaned in, lips meeting mine, gentle, hesitant, brief, almost innocent, but enough to set my heart on fire, remind me what desire felt like. "I'm sorry," he whispered, pulling back a little, uncertainty in his eyes. "Didn't mean to." I shook my head, silencing him. "Don't be," I whispered back, feeling a confidence I hadn't felt in decades. I wanted that. We sat there, the weight of it settling between us, unspoken but understood. More than just attraction, dangerous territory. Neither of us wanted to stop, so we didn't. Weeks blurred into secret meetings, stolen moments in quiet places. Careful to avoid prying eyes, keep it hidden. Secrecy fueled it, made every touch, every whispered word intense, forbidden, precious. But as things with Jake deepened, my life with Richard started to crack. Richard, a creature of routine, habit. Years I'd molded myself to his schedule, his expectations. Now I was slipping away, excuses to leave the apartment, escape our predictable life. At first, Richard didn't seem to notice. Lost in his work, late nights in his study, that quiet secrecy that always surrounded him. But as my absences grew, questions started, tone sharper than usual. Out again? He'd ask one evening as I slipped back in after seeing Jake. You've been out quite a bit lately. I forced a smile, trying to hide the tension. Just errands, Richard. You know, charity stuff. Always something to organize. He didn't answer, gaze lingering on me a beat too long. Something in his eyes. Suspicion? A chill ran down my spine. But he said nothing, turning back to his work like it never happened. Days after, I became more careful, each move calculated. But even with the facade, the weight of lies pressed down, threatening to shatter everything. Then one night, alone in the living room, I saw it. Tiny black device, side table, barely noticeable, coin-sized, faint blinking light. Panic slammed into me. Tracking device. Richard was watching me. Precision tracking. Exposed. Vulnerable. Heart hammering, staring at the device. Implications sinking in. Not just suspicious. Watching. Every step. Chill down my spine. Warning. He knew, or close. Trapped. Web of my own making. What to do, who to turn to, Jake, only one I could trust. But involving him? Danger. More danger. Days passed. Richard's gaze sharper. Questions pointed. Noose tightening around my lies. House of cards. Crumbling. Piece by piece. Tracking device. Shifted everything. Every interaction with Richard, loaded with tension. Every moment, a game, afraid to lose. Hyper-aware of gestures, words. Invisible noose tightening. One evening, making dinner, glancing over my shoulder, nervous. Richard watching. There. Doorway, gaze unreadable. Eleanor, voice calm but ice underneath. We need to talk. Knife clattered to the counter. Turned to face him, trying to hide the fear. Of course. What is it? He stepped closer, eyes narrowing. I know where you've been going, Eleanor. I know about the detective. Heart raced. Knees weak, composure cracking. Richard, Hand up, silencing me. Excuses? Not interested. Tone cold. Interested in how far you thought you could go. Sneaking around with a boy who has no idea who he's dealing with. Dread settled in, ground slipping away. Richard, please, I whispered, voice trembling. Never wanted to hurt you. Hurt me? Bitter smile. You have no idea, Eleanor, who you've hurt or who you're dealing with. Leaned in, voice a whisper. I'm not just the man you married, Eleanor. Connections, people who understand loyalty, value it above all else. Betray me, they pay the price. Nausea. Realization hitting hard. Not just power, influence. Something darker. Hidden beneath the facade. Living with a stranger. True nature concealed. Until now. Richard, I stammered. Then perhaps it's time you did. Voice icy, reached into his pocket. Photos, tossed them on the counter, horror, Jake and me, secret moments, brutal clarity. You see, Eleanor, contempt dripping. I know everything, every lie, every moment you thought you'd hidden. Now I hold all the power. Crushing weight, full situation sinking in, not just aware. Tracking, documenting, no escape, trapped, bound by evidence. Think about running to him. Voice dangerous whisper. I'll make sure everyone knows. Destroy his career, reputation, everything he's built. And you? Nothing left. Numb. Reality settling. Prisoner. Not chains, but web of control. Richard's web. No way out. Days turned into weeks. Living under Richard's iron rule. Every aspect dictated by unspoken threats. Avoiding Jake. Staying away from our places. Ache of separation constant. Lost freedom. Richard methodical. Making sure I understood. Full extent of control. Monitored every move, call, errand, always watching. No direct threats, but tension thick, constant. One wrong step, destroy everything. One evening, alone in the living room. Crushing isolation. No one to turn to. Impossible situation. Unraveling. Mind racing. Escape. Freedom. But every escape route, Richard's threats echoed. Silencing hope. Desperation deepening. Glimmer of an idea. Risky, dangerous plan. Freedom. Richard's power, control, secrets. Take back control, evidence of his secrets. Bargain for freedom, long shot, dangerous gamble. Backfire, only hope. Next days. Searching, leverage, trace of connections, document, criminal ties. Combing through study, late nights, no trace, heart pounding. Then, one night. Hidden drawer, locked. Documents, financial records, correspondence, photos, puzzle pieces, Richard's true identity, not just businessman, ties to powerful, dangerous people, criminal connections beyond imagination, triumph, evidence, hands shaking, something to use, but cold dread, not just secrets, lies, dangerous, high-stakes gamble, losing everything, no choice, freedom, escape Richard's prison, risk, confront him, evidence, bargaining chip, heart-pounding, confrontation, fate decided. Next morning, Richard left. Plan in motion, hours preparing, rehearsing, gathering evidence, one chance, confront him, freedom. Evening, Richard returned, waiting in living room, documents on table, entered room, confusion to anger, scene sinking in. What is this? Demanded, fury barely contained. Deep breath, meeting his gaze, steely. Truth, Richard. Truth about who you are. I know about your connections, your dealings. Let me go. Release me from this prison, or everyone else will know too. Face twisted. Rage. Fists clenching. You think you can threaten me, Eleanor, after everything you've done? Held my ground, refusing to be intimidated. Yes, Richard. Not just about me. Life you forced me to live. Lies. Control. Done being your prisoner. Moment. Stared at me. Anger. Something else. Almost respect? Slowly nodded. Fine, cold voice. Want freedom? Have it. But don't expect me to forget this, Eleanor, because I won't. Turned, walked away, alone in living room, heart pounding, won, free, cost of freedom, price paid, haunt me. After that night, Richard kept his word. Freedom to live, cost weighed heavy, agreed to release me, gaze colder than ever, silent reminder, never forget betrayal. Moved out days later. Few belongings. Small apartment outskirts of the city. Nothing like home with Richard. Refuge, breathe, no presence around every corner. Freedom, harsh reality, lost everything. Home, life with Richard, Jake. Affair, excitement, painful memory, risks, disrupted lives. Alone, unfamiliar world, consequences. Jake tried to reach out, ignored calls, messages, couldn't drag him back into mess. Better off without me. Free from secrets, lies. One evening, dim apartment, emptiness, blanket, silence thick, oppressive, echoes of choices, risked everything, fleeting thrill, brief escape, marriage, picking up pieces, alone, regret, constant shadow, stability traded for excitement, security for forbidden, lost more than imagined. Months passed, slow, painful rebuilding, peace with choices, solace in quiet moments, weight of actions never faded. One afternoon, unexpected call. Richard, calm voice, formal, coffee, hesitated. What could he want? Curiosity won, agreed. Small cafe, edge of city, neutral ground. Richard prompt, composed demeanor, hint of weariness, vulnerability, out of place. Thank you for meeting, he began. Measured voice, nodded, strange mix of emotions, unsure what to expect. Deep breath, glanced at coffee, met my gaze. Thinking a lot since you left, about us, everything. Words hung in air, waited. What was he saying? Didn't handle things well, Eleanor. Regret in voice. Anger, pride, best of me. Never excuse what you did. Realized I played a part too. Surprised. Flicker of understanding. Glimpse of man I loved. Richard, I'm sorry, I whispered, words escaping. Sorry for everything. Nodded, expression softening. I know, and I'm sorry too. Silence. Lost in thoughts. No going back, undoing damage. Moment of closure, quiet peace, eluded me. Parting ways, truly end of story. Hurt, betrayed each other. Small way, forgiveness. Life after Richard, strange, fragile. Years defined by role as wife. Routines. Absence left me adrift. Ghost. Navigating world. Liberating, terrifying. Small hobbies. Library, volunteering, local events. Purpose in quiet corners. Slowly rebuilding. Pieces of myself. Long buried. Memories of Jake lingered. Haunting thoughts. What if? Different choices, fought harder, regret bitter pill, some things passed. One afternoon library. Book on forgiveness, letting go, hours reading, devouring pages, peace within words, self-forgiveness, accepting past mistakes, no judgment, struggled with concept, weight lifting, glimmer of hope, forgive myself, left library, clarity, renewed determination, let go of guilt, haunted me, couldn't change past, erase choices, choose to move forward, meaning in life ahead. Years passed, life settled, quiet rhythm, gentle pace, peace never known, joy in simple things, sun, children's laughter, kindness, small acts each day. Richard and I never spoke again. Mutual friends, moved on, companionship, his way. Jake too, moved forward, life filled with happiness, hope. Me, learned to live with scars. Part of story. Affair, betrayal, Richard's control. Shaped me, stronger, resilient. Small garden, evening, sunset, gratitude, quiet peace. Fought so hard for, life not as planned, moment, understanding. Some choices undone, some scars fade, shaped by lives, lessons, resilience. Looked out at world, finally free.